Social Security is one of the most important and often misunderstood pieces of the retirement puzzle. Casey Elkins and Mark Stimpson from Elevated Financial Management are here back again to help break down some advice, helping a lot of people with this. It can feel complicated. And you know, online there's always so many different myths and rumors.
Right.
So let's start with this. Mark, what is the best time to take Social Security?
You know, that's a good question. It really is situational. So we believe in what's called situational Social Security planning. And what that means is it depends on your individual circumstance. There isn't a clear answer. And we do hear that a lot where people think that there is a specific time, right? Everybody should start at 62 or 65 or everyone should wait till 70. But it is individually based. It is circumstantial and it depends on the other assets that you have, and are you going to have a pension, and how can you structure the other investments that you might have. And so there's a lot of factors to be considered, and it's really hard to just pick one individual number and say this is the best time to do it.
Okay, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. But I know there's somebody probably at home right now, and Casey, they're probably wondering why not just do the typical baseline of age 62?
Yeah, well, this is where understanding the nuances of Social Security come into play, right? There's a lot of confusion, and if you go at 62, you're going to take a permanent reduction anywhere of 25 to 30% of your money, and that is a lot. That adds up. If a person lives to normal life expectancy, you're going to be losing close to $200,000 of income, which is a lot, right? And that also brings into play what people don't realize. If they do go early at 62, they have to worry about what's called an earned income test. What does that mean? That means if you might want to work, maybe you want to work part-time because you get a little bored, right? We think, you know, retirement, I'm just going to go and you know, play golf 5 days a week with my buddies. Well, that doesn't usually work out that way, right? So again, if you work, for every $2 you make over $23,400, they're going to take back $1 of your Social Security. That is a 50% penalty if you go early, anywhere from 62 to maybe 67 if you were born 1960 or later. So understanding all the caveats to Social Security is critical to put together a plan that you don't end up regretting.
So when I think about even myself, I'm a long ways from Social Security, but you know, you start saving now and you see things on, let's say, TikTok about, hey, myths, don't put your money in there, they're going to go bankrupt, they won't have any money by that time. What would you say about that?
You know, I think that really is a myth, right? Yeah. I don't think Social Security is going to just disappear. No. When you think about it in reality, right, there's a big deal of or great deal of the population that is one of their main sources of income in retirement. And so if they were just going to disappear, that Social Security, that income was going to disappear, their retirement would be devastated, right? And that's something that we don't think is going to happen. Now, Social Security is going to have to look different in the future, right? We all understand that the trust fund's going to run out about 8 years from now or so, and that's going to have an impact. And that's something that you have to be planning for in your retirement, because if they cut your Social Security amount by 25%, your $2,000 a month worth of income would drop down to $1,500. And so that's where planning comes in. And we actually talk about that in our book, and I think the QR code's up on the screen there for everybody to see. But that's a big piece of financial planning to be able to calculate what that's going to look like and make sure you still have the income that you need when you get to retirement.
So you mentioned the book. Of course, we have to talk about Break the Glass for our viewers at home. Tell them a little bit more about what they'll learn there.
Yeah, Casey and I are really, really proud of this book. It's an easy read. You can get it done in about an hour or less. But it really breaks down Social Security. It's going to talk about Medicare, how important those choices are. What about legacy planning? How do we want to move money to our children or our grandchildren? You know, taxes are a big thing that a lot of big box stores don't want to talk about, right? They'll tell you to go talk to your CPA. We talk taxes in our office, and we put together tax plans for our clients that need it. And so again, this book covers all of that in a, you know, looking down 30,000-foot view, right? But it's going to really help those that take the time to read it and understand all the nuances that there are when it comes to good retirement planning.
Right, and there are, so many nuances, so many different loopholes, as you all just mentioned. I want to talk about another myth that some people who may be closer to the age where you can get your Social Security without those penalties. Can you work and still draw those benefits?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
So you can, but you have to be at full retirement age and above. So you can start your Social Security at age 62, but if you do, as Mark was mentioning, if you're still working, that can actually have a penalty associated.
Right.
So if you're over the age, for most people, it's full retirement age is age 67. At that point, you can work, make as much as you want, and claim your Social Security without any penalty. And that's where that situational Social Security comes in, to figure out how you can mix all those things together and make it work.
Perfect. Well, thank you both, Casey and Mark, for just this great information. That's something a lot of people are concerned about. And of course, we want to save as much money as we can.
Yeah.
So make sure you get the book, Break the Glass. And we, of course, still have that QR code back. And we'll see you next time.
New Day Northwest is sponsored by Elevated Financial Management.